Excellent. Okay, so let's kick it off. The agenda for today. My screen slides want to share. Come back. All right. The agenda for today, I'm just going to give you a very short intro on AI Sweden, and then we have Marina Bill here with us. That is the president of Adra. That's going to talk about an introduction to Adra. And then we have Jeanette Nilsson, that is AI ecosystem driver at RISE and board member of BDVA. That's going to talk about learning from the previous programs. And then we have Fredrik Heinz, and that is Professor Linköping University and board member of Adra. And he's going to talk about engaging with Adra and the European AI ecosystem. And then we have a colleague of mine from AI Sweden, that is Daniel Gillblad. He's a co-director here at AI Sweden and director at Chalmers AI Research Center as well. And he's going to tell us about why and how to engage in Adra as a Swedish organization. And last but not least, another colleague of mine, Björn Hofstadius, AI Sweden International Partner Manager, and he's going to talk about preview of upcoming calls in Horizon Europe. So please, Marina, take the floor. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I'll just try to share my screen. Let's see if that works. Share. Let me know when you can see it.
We see it, but not in presentation mode.
And now I'm going to change this. And there we go. How does that look like? Very
excellent.
Good. So, good morning, everybody. I'm very happy to be with you in this virtual breakfast meeting. Of course, would have been great to see you all for real, but I'm full of hope that in a few months it will be possible for people to start meeting again. So, but I'm happy to take this opportunity to talk to all of you today. I was firstly happy thinking I was going to give a presentation in Swedish, which I don't get to do very often, but understood it will be in English. But anyway, happy to be in a little bit more of a Swedish surrounding in this. Before I start discussing a little bit more about Adra and why we exist, I wanted just to give a little bit of a background, at least to how I see the world we're living in today and some of the trends and challenges that we can see today. And normally when we look upon challenges, there is, I would say, 5 things that is driving a lot in the industry, but also in the whole society today. And the first one is really us as individuals. We have changed a lot. We have become very, very picky. So we talk about the individualized consumer. We just had Christmas. I mean, it's really hard today to get a standard Christmas card. Everybody has to have them individualized with their family photos. When you order a new car, you want it exactly with the configuration you want it. Try to party for your kids without having their names on their M&Ms and so on. This individualized consumer and our kind of buying behavior in this is putting an enormous challenge today to the manufacturing industry that was really not being built for this batch size one. Labor shortage is another trend that we've been talking about for a long time, and it's getting more and more extreme, I would say, for every year that goes. Firstly, that people doesn't want dull, dangerous, and dirty and delicate jobs anymore, but also that it's hard to find knowledge in a lot of areas. This is not a European problem. It's really turning into a global problem. Digitalization may be more of a positive mega trend where we see today really data is the new iron ore and all the possibilities that the digitalization gives us in everyday life, but also looking into more strategical movements. Then we have the uncertainty. A few years ago, we would talk more about trade wars and natural disasters, but COVID has learned us differently. And also the situation we're in also, there is a political uncertainty in what's happening in the world today. And then one of the cores, what is driving all behaviors today is, of course, the need for a more sustainable world. And maybe from my point of view, also looking upon how can we reduce the amount of waste and how can we make sure that whatever we do and however we consume or produce, it's done in a sustainable way. So for years, we used to talk about productivity and quality in the area of these 5 megatrends. During COVID, these megatrends, though, didn't change, but they got accelerated. So today, we talk a lot about, in order to respond to them and getting the best out of this, it needs to be flexible and it needs to be simple. And for me, coming more from the robotic industry, it's clear that responding to these challenges of more flexibility in consumption, more simple way involving more people also in the area, it cannot be robotics alone. It has to be combined with big data and artificial intelligence. Firstly, when these things comes together, we can really, really act in a much better way to respond to these megatrends. As I talked, if we look upon just a few seconds, a little bit on robotics, since that's where I'm coming from, because it's interesting to see how the number of robot installation has grown just the last 10 years. And now this is the statistic up to 2020. The 2021 one is still not ready, but that will have a 4 in front of itself, most likely, again. So you can see an enormous growth. It's double-digit growth more or less every year. It's few industries who can look upon that. So the world is getting into a much, much more automated way with robots. But if I look upon Sweden, and I just pulled this data out for Sweden to see where we're here. Yes, Sweden had in 2020, 1,300 new robots installed, but that was less in 19. And if I look upon the CAGR for the last 5 years in Sweden, it's single digit. That said, though, Sweden is number 24 in the world when it comes to the robot density, so number of robots per 10,000 workers. So a good, strong international position. But what this is showing with Sweden, we can see it from more of a European point of view, is that, yes, the European installation of robots and automation is going up the last years, and prediction going forward is slightly, but rather a flattish, even for some prediction, not even a growth. America's also not really a super growth, while Asia is taking off enormously. And today, 2 out of 3 of every robot being sold in the world ends up in Asia. And I think looking upon the possibilities in the beginning with the future mega trends and what we can do, but then seeing it from a more European perspective, that at least from a robotic point of view, Europe is not taking off as quick as the rest of the world. And when I talk to my other colleagues in Adra, we have a similar thing. What is actually Europe's position when it comes to AI, Europe's position in big data, and comparing it to other regions? It leaves a few question marks. So looking in now really to Adra, and Adra is a little bit or very much a response to this development. So Adra is a partnership with the European Commission and the private side. We were formed last year, and it's supposed to go on until 2030. And it's co-programmed with Horizon Europe, that of course all of you are very aware of. We signed the MOU earlier in the summer, and the idea is that half of the investment will come from the public and half from the private investment. And what makes Adra so really special is that it's a joint initiative from 5 associations. And again, to look upon the megatrends, that when these 5 different, sometimes we call them bloodstreams, when the AI, big data, and robots come together, it's more than just summing up it becomes something more. And it's really in the interaction within these technologies, within these industries, and within these areas of research, something new can come out. So therefore, I'm really happy, and I was very excited when I was asked to become the president of this, and also to get the combined part of these 5 associations. So the general objectives of Adra is really to secure Europe's sovereignty in AI data and robotics, both in technology and know-how, establish Europe's leadership in the areas, but also to reinforce a strong and global competition position of Europe in this area, both in the individual areas, but also as a total. So as I said, this is the part that it's a joint initiative, and it's truly joint in that there is a true collaboration of it. So it's not only summing up the different associations, it's putting them together and creating added value of it. So in short, you can, of the things that Adra will do and have started already to do, is then to really provide input and advice to the Commission, and to help to prioritize in research and innovation, and also work very closely with the Horizon Europe programs. So we're starting it up now, but there is a very close and intense cooperation with the Commission, and there is lots of requests, and it's a huge need from the Commission to get our input, and also that they get a combined picture, that they don't get the picture of 5 associations in everything, but in the areas where there is a cross section here, that they can get a good speaking partner who looks at all the aspects. So the founding boards looks like that, and here you see again the 3 different pillars of the organization and the corresponding vice presidents. So it's really a big base of people from industry, from research, from academia, and then from all the different associations who's being involved. And as you can see on the picture, Frederick will also talk more later today. What has been important with Adra is we want to make sure that every type of organization can be part of it. So we try to make the member fees really flexible. So anybody who is a startup, an SME, a large enterprise, a small research unit, that everybody will have a kind of a fair membership fee. And it's really want to emphasize that this is for everybody here. It's not only for the big companies, and it's not only for research and academia. It's really for all of us coming together in that, and that's also how our membership fees and membership setup has been constructed. I will add this when I send out the slide. This is a little bit on how to apply, just the steps of it, so that you have that, how to apply and how to be part of it. And also if you want to have more interaction with us on how to do it. So this is a little bit on get in touch, and this is, how we've been structured. We are in the startup phase now in a lot of parts. We're getting all the infrastructure and so on ready. It's a rather intense work with all of us. I think all of us are enjoying it a lot. And it's really interesting, I would say, when this associations comes together and the different part that we represent comes together in order to continue to really strengthen Europe and Europe's position in that. So with that, I wish you all welcome, and I really am happy to see this kind of initiatives that Sweden has taken with this breakfast meeting. So with that, I will hand back. I don't know if we have any time for questions, but otherwise I'll hand back to the next of the speakers. And again, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much, Marina. I think we'll keep questions to the end. So Jeanette.
Thank you. And am I sharing now in
Yeah, look.
But it's not in presentation mode, is it?
No, it's not.
No, thank you. I am a member, as Ivana said, of the BDVA, and one of the funding partners of Adra. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why we have been part of this and why we see it's so crucial that we continue working. And BDVA, who was a similar organization, or PPP, in the last period, this is the structure of industry and academia. And members all over, and you see that we are not so many members in Sweden. And as always, I used to work as a lobbyist in Brussels. The more people you can collect to a question, the better. So I think it's really important that more people are now going to be part of Adra, so in Sweden, so that they really can make an impact. Because we have had really good use of being part of this organization in the last period. We have been doing a lot of things. We have been taking being part of white papers, policies, programs, and that will also continue. And that's a really important thing to be part of the common European goals. And we have different partnerships and doing a lot of things. And I see this is something that Europe is really trying to do, to see how can we make good use of everything that has been done. So in one concrete example of not just being part of influencing policies and programs is that we take part in different projects. And this is one of the big projects in Europe now, where we are all over Europe. we are exchanging experience and letting small, medium-sized companies make use of research and test facilities, and that we help each other. So a small company can get help from Sweden and Spain and some other different hub in Europe. So this is a result of the different work that we have been doing. And it's structured like this, that we have different work groups, and we will continue with this also in Adra, and working on different subjects and collecting experts all over the members that are in BDVA, but also working with the people in the commission and producing papers and producing projects and trying to make an impact. So this is the thing that has been most valuable, and I think that it's even more important that more both research companies will be part of this new bigger organization Adra, because we can really make an impact when we work together. So it has been a good use, and I see looking forward to working more with this in the bigger context. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeanette. Fredrik?
Yes, thank you very much. So as already been introduced, my name is Fredrik Heinz, and I'm a professor of computer science at Linköping University, but here I'm more representing, first of all, I'm representing Adra. As Marina said, I am one of the founding board members. So in the Adra board, I represent URI, which is the European AI Association. So URI is one of the 5 founding organizations, and we are basically a research organization where our members are the national AI associations throughout Europe. So we really represent the research community here. And what I wanted to briefly talk about here today is engaging with Adra and the European AI ecosystem. So as just one piece of kind of background here, I mean, it's very clear that the European Commission is really pushing this of fostering an ecosystem of excellence. That is very clear that Europe wants to take a leading position. And what we see is, of course, a lot is about regulating AI. But I think it's impossible to be a leader in regulating AI unless you're also a leader in innovation and research on AI. So therefore, I'm very happy about this investments in this ecosystem of excellence. So here we see that there is a large number of initiatives, including this public-private partnership on AI data and robotics, where Adra is the private partner in that partnership. So I think it's also very nice to see the kind of Swedish AI ecosystem, which I think we are starting to get a very good AI innovation competence and research ecosystem here in Sweden, where of course AI Sweden is one key player here. And what we see is also that it's now forming a European AI ecosystem where we have this ICT 48 network, we have these different organizations, we have AI for EU, which is a large initiative on building an AI on demand platform and ecosystem. We have the digital innovation hubs, and then we have Adra, which I think, or my expectation is that this will be the place where the Commission will go to get feedback and get input on what should Europe invest in, and what are you on the private side willing to invest in as well, because it will be co-financing. So I really think that to be part of this AI ecosystem, or this broader, is of course also including data and robotics, is really a key to be involved and to find partners and so on. So why should one engage with Adra? I really think, I mean, this is an opportunity to work with leading researchers and practitioners in Europe. You also get the visibility for your organization and your work. So I really think this is something that we need to work much more within Sweden. I mean, I meet very many good companies and organizations that are doing great work, but they don't have this wider visibility outside of Sweden. And I think that would be very valuable. As both Marina and Jeanette talked about, there are these working groups. I mean, they're being in the process of being established, where this is where opportunities to work on common topics like standardization, policies, different types of technologies, and of course, networking and finding partners and collaborators. We will hear more about funding opportunities, and I really think this is key. I mean, to get access to all this funding which is available on the European level, where Sweden has been relatively poor so far, and we have a large potential here to take a much bigger part in this and get more visibility. But I also think this influence should not be understated, that the Commission are constantly asking us in Adra, what do you think about different things? We are given this opportunity to provide input on work programs, policies, and so on. So this is a very good opportunity to have a chance to actually influence what the Commission will investment in the future. And I really think this is also important from a national perspective, that we as Swedish organizations and companies become more active and share our experience and push things in a positive direction. So I'm very much looking forward to collaborating with as many as possible of you about this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Fredrik. Next up is Daniel.
Thank you. I'll just share my screen then. And I'm very much just going to build upon the previous speakers about the importance to engage in these kinds of initiatives for Swedish organizations. And I'm going to use AI Sweden, which I'm part of managing, as a starting point, because AI Sweden is built to accelerate development and use of AI within Sweden. So what we're trying to do now is to leverage what we have here in Sweden, expanding it to an even bigger arena with more partners, more bigger networks, and so on, to get a broader effect. Why? Well, previous speakers have already touched upon this. A lot of AI applications and systems need to be developed in collaboration because there are more systemic applications. Basically, they need standards, they need code development. And a lot of the partners that we have, no one is really alone in the problems and challenges they're facing within developing AI applications. It's much faster to do this collaboratively and together. And expanding this collaboration environment and network to the European level is absolutely essential. So within AI Sweden, we work with a few cornerstones, what we want to build for Sweden. And I'm just going to put the European collaborations within that context. As we talked about before, we can broaden our access to both competence, research and innovation competence, but also networks, discussing what kinds of problems we should actually focus on. We can make sure that we do not do work twice and so on, and actually develop the parts that we need to develop together and share resources. But not only resources like papers, research results, and so on, but also models, infrastructure, labs, and so on and so on. It's also access to more resources that are already available, but one other cornerstone that a lot of Swedish organizations are dealing with right now is attracting and retaining talent. And this is basically an access to a bigger pool for talent attraction and getting in contact with the right people that can help you solve your problems, basically. So how would you engage in this? Well, basically join the partnership, join networks, join proposals, and start engaging, start building the networks within this community, be part of the community. And I think Björn Stadius now will tell you a little bit about more practical details and so on. And finally, both for AI Sweden and for me personally, I think taking research application it's very, very important. It's very, very important for us to show the real effects and benefits of AI. And to do that, we really need to engage in these kinds of ecosystems from the Swedish side, basically. So I'm really looking forward from both AI Sweden and from Chalmers to participate in all these kinds of projects and engagements within Adra in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. Like Daniel said, I'll jump in here and thank you all for a very good overview. And I definitely, I mean, why we're doing it is that we really feel that it's very important for you that are now present and also more Swedish organizations to really engage in these programs, because it gives you a good network, all the benefits that Daniel was talking about actually getting knowledge, getting sharing, and not to maybe reinventing the wheel. On the more practical level, I'm going to share, see here. I'm going to share my screen here. I'll take away all of you. I don't think you, whoops, not. There we go. Presentation mode. So here are very, I would say, simple steps to get started in this. First of all, obviously, we really looking forward to see as many of you as possible being members of Adra. And if we have some people here, also some companies, organizations here on this call, if you're not already a member of AI Sweden, get in touch. We would more than welcome to have you as part of AI Sweden. So that is the easy part. The other next part is a little bit harder and it requires a little bit of work, but that's about finding good information about upcoming calls for funding from the EU. And there's, excuse me, both info days, and there's a really good portal, and I'll see if I can find that. See if we can go out here and find that. Let's skip that part. We're running out of time. But there's a portal, and we will post information of where you find the portal if you haven't found it, where you can search for open calls. So that's on the EU level. On the Swedish level, we also have two organizations that help us and help you to find these opportunities. Vinnova is taking care of the program that's called Horizon Europe. That is a little bit more research oriented in the calls. And then we have our DIG, that is handling the other parallel program called Digital Europe. And they will also be very good sources for finding information about funding opportunities. And last but not least, AI Sweden also have a portal that is called My AI, and you see the address there. We will now start to also post information about the calls that we know about, so you can find them in a place along with other good information that we post on this portal, such as interesting AI trends, case studies, etc. So hopefully we will see you in Adra and AI Sweden in the future. So thank you so much. And I guess over to Ivana if we have any questions.
Yes, thank you, Björn. Super good. Thank you, everybody, for a very informative and good information. And thank you for being here and spending this time with us to share about Adra and how we can engage. Yeah, so just to a couple of words about AI Sweden. So AI Sweden is the Swedish National Center for Applied AI, and our mission is to accelerate the use of AI for the benefit of society, or competitiveness, and for everyone living in Sweden. So collaborations like this with Adra are really important to us to create learning experience and opportunities for our communities and our partners. So yeah, is there any questions from the audience? Take the opportunity when you have so knowledgeable people in the room, ask your questions here.
Maybe can I add something? I think it's also important now because next year Sweden will be a share of the European Union. And so this is a really good opportunity, and it's a really perfect time to get engaged, and also to work for questions and things that we are really good at in Sweden, because we are sometimes, in my opinion, not that good to talk about things that we are good and trying to promote them and be more proactive. So I think we have a strong industry, we have super research, we have a really good position, but I think we have to be more active, and this is a really good opportunity to be that.
Yes, thank you, Janet.
And I think one should also emphasize that, I mean, we're talking about billions of euros that's being invested in these areas. Yep. And if you want, I mean, you significantly increase your chances both to get access to this funding, but also influence in which direction this funding goes. So, I mean, we're really talking about major investments here, which is very important both for companies and for other organizations.
Very good. Do you know if there are any deadlines for the application funding?
There are several, and I think I just posted the link to the EU portal. And if you search for calls, for instance, for AI, you get quite a long list of calls. Some calls are open and actually closed now in February, and probably hard to make that deadline. But there's a lot of calls that open in April. That deadline is in after the summer. So many opportunities to engage here. And like Frederick said, there are actually 2.8 or 2.6 billion in this program that Adra is part of. So Sweden should definitely, and we should be active and make sure that we get some share of that.
I think it's also good to again emphasize, I mean, there's going to be a lot of work with the AI Act this year, and also here being able to, together with even more people from other councils, giving the input so that the AI Act really becomes a good one, that it becomes a positive one for us. And there's a lot of work still that needs to be done.
Good, thank you very much. So the message is super clear. Go into the portal, be active, proactive, search for calls, and apply. And of
course, become members of Adra.
And because, of course, become member of Adra. So how do I become member of Adra?
I showed the slide in the beginning with the kind of 5 steps. I will send it out to you again. And again, we tried also to make it so that it financially from a cost point of view is adapted to the different types of organization wants to join. But I'll share these slides again with all the links and all the steps on how to become a member. And also if you have any questions.
Excellent. We have a question. Is it possible to be a member as a single individual?
I don't think we've looked upon that case today. It's proposed as a single individual. I don't think we've put it up in that case today, but let us go back to that. In the normal member fees, we don't have it for a person today. We have it for very small organizations, but not as an individual private person. I don't think we have set it up. It doesn't exist today.
Okay, but if I'm a small business owner and have a registered company or an NGO, then I can be a member with my company, even though I'm just one person.
Absolutely, and even if it's an SME with one person, that's not a problem. So a company with one person is not a problem, and that we've taken. So I think it's company from 1 to 240 people as a one, and then if it's bigger. But if the question is for as a private person, but an SME with one person is absolutely not a problem. So that's being considered.
Okay.
And also universities and departments, I think even research groups can also join.
Yes.
Good. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think that's it from us. So thank you everybody for taking this morning, spending your time with us, and hope that you get value. And go into the portal, become member of Adra, and be engaged.